Melbourne Knights' new head coach Eric Vassiliadis will face a stern test for tonight's home debut as the Knights welcome second-place Bentleigh Greens to Summer Street for Friday night PS4 NPL football. Vassiliadis took positives from last week's 2-1 loss to Pascoe Vale, with his squad adapting well to a change of structure and withstanding early pressure. Marian Spitkovic and Patrick Gerhardt were again second-half substitutes and will be staking their claims for a starting berth, having gained much-needed match fitness. The Knights announced their first signing of the mid-season transfer this week, with youngster Anthony Doozle returning to the club after spells with Pascoe Vale and Melbourne Victory Youth. Bentleigh Greens look to have recovered from a slight slip from recording back-to-back victories to move up to second spot on the table for tonight's all-important PS4 NPL clash. Welcome to Knights TV. It's round 16 in the PS4 NPL Friday night football here at Summer Street. Mark Franken here on Knights TV. It was a positive start a couple of weeks back to the campaign here at Summer Street post Andrew Marth, with Ben Suri essentially an acting coach up in the stands while suspended. A win over Hume City, and then a half-time lead, of course, last week at Pascoe Vale, but ultimately going down 2-1 in Vassiliadis' first game in charge. Ball through now, Dixon. Left flank, coming through the middle is Cahill, but Dixon's really put way too much on that one. And the assistant referee says it's indeed a goal kick for Bentleigh. Suri's got a man on, and that was a little cheeky. Came off though, Bator. So on the left. Wouldn't be happy with his work there, and they've worked their way inside now, Bentleigh. If they square it up, the Knights could be in trouble. Luckily, straight into the awaiting arms of Fraser Chalmers. There's its crossfield for Bator. Now he had Jurcic on and realised there was a defender in the way. Tizell did well there, although Suri might have lost the ball here. And now Thurtell. Well, that one's gone well wide of the goal. Oh, just a little bobble there. And it's coming the way of the Melbourne Knights. Now Jurcic comes sober. The rubber man. He's got Doozle central. He goes to him. Doozle. Oh, that one just came off a boot. Andy Brennan. Gerhardt, he gets around him. Brennan, and then that tackle coming through for Tim Purcell. A little bit reckless, and I think the referee might want to have a chat. Now Ruffin, you fancy he will have a shot from here. Ruffin goes low. Ooh, and very luckily to the left of the goal for the Melbourne Knights. And in fact, it did come off a Knights boot as it went through. As we hit the half-hour mark, this round 16 fixture. It's well over the back. Ruffin again. Still bobbling around. Oh, Suri made the save. Then Bentleigh had another crack. That one's too long, although Ruffin can work his way into it. Again, bobbles out for the Knights. Guarding the back door is Nick Gloven. And now another foul going the way of the Bentleigh Greens. Another corner. Ruffin. Chalmers is off his line now. This could be disaster for the Melbourne Knights. And it is. Chalmers came. And that's a goal for Luke Pilkington. He gets on the score sheet for the Bentleigh Greens, and they open the scoring here via Luke Pilkington. Gerhardt's there, Suri, Bator, Tom Cahill too. Cahill almost the header. Can Gerhardt rescue it? He cannot. Ball whipped in for Holmes. And a solid header there. Luke Pilkington had plenty of space, but connected beautifully. Just sent it about 5 metres over the top of the crossbar. Come the other way. Down here for Brennan. Squares it up. Safe for Chalmers. Parries it straight out, though. Desic fails. The referee says no to the calls there for a penalty. And it was Tyson Holmes was the man that went down. Gets straight into the action. Does Dimmy. And Brennan. Looked to be the outlet again, but Purcell, well, that's the ball bounced 3 times. And then completely carved up there by Brennan. Brennan the touch. And he just gave, with that poor first touch, Fraser Chalmers enough time to get himself into the right position. Like jumping into the beach at dawn. Eventually he might get bitten. Oh, that one's seen back. And is that a back pass? It's come off the thigh, but I still reckon it might be a back pass. But anyway, well, I reckon it might be. Ball. Oh, gee whiz, just for a second there. Tom Cahill, that's a penalty. Tom Cahill, I didn't quite catch what was going on there. He just flicked it over, put the header in. Obviously been seen there as a handball given against the Bentleigh Greens and a lifeline for the Melbourne Knights. Got to be fair, haven't really looked like scoring at any time in the opening 70 minutes. But just like that, against very much the run of play, a golden chance. Yellow card also issued. Now Cahill from the spot, and he guessed right, Scott Ryan, but it just had too much on it. And Tommy Cahill puts the Melbourne Knights back on level terms here at Summer Street in the 72nd minute of the game, 73rd rather. It's the Melbourne Knights 1, the Bentleigh Greens 1. Brennan, Kimsoba just picks his pocket. Kimsoba, he's off to the races. Gets his own ball, and he's still got the ball. And in fact, just that little back heel there. And that might be a second yellow card. And it is a second yellow card for Jack Webster. And the skipper sees red here in the 80th minute. First game back in these historic, famous colours for Doozell. Takes the shot. It wasn't too far away, but just over the top. Mishkelin, man, he was asked to play striker last week. Brennan. Now Hatzimuratis. Ball short. Gloven squares it up. And that's a futsal kind of style goal there. And really, Fraser Chalmers would be absolutely distraught with his defence rather. Just absolutely sold the candy. Went down the byline, went short to Gloven. Squared it up, and just like that, Bentleigh Greens, a 10-man Bentleigh Greens, go ahead. Then for 15 minutes, have looked the goods since that penalty for Tom Cahill. And all of a sudden, again, a point. Looks to maybe elude the home side tonight. And in fact, it does. So the Bentleigh Greens against, well, not maybe the odds, but certainly against the weight of numbers, have come home with a wet sail to defeat the Melbourne Knights 2-1. Here with Eric Vasiliades, your first home game. Unfortunately, it was looking like you might at least get a draw, but then the Melbourne Knights conceding yet another goal late in the game to go down 2-1.
Yeah, look, so you've got to break it down into twos, right? I think the response in the second half was superb, given the squad that was out there. So, that's the sort of the silver lining. But the reality is we don't know how to close out games, and that's simply a personnel thing. It's simply a personnel thing. There's in any game there's not negotiable moments, and you just got to have that sense. So it's not acceptable. It's not good enough. But we've got to be unemotional about it at this point. We've got to review it, analyse it, and then if we have to make changes, of course we have to.
You talked about, it is a long line of injuries, and even Hicksey being out suspended at the moment. But can you use that as an excuse?
No, it's not an excuse. I think it's the reality. The reality is, first half I thought we defensively sort of structured up quite well. I mean, they scored from a set piece, and the boys were asked to do something in the second half, and we turned it around with the boys that were out there. But in the end, I think that little bit of experience in the back, probably, or lack of, cost us. And I suspect that by the sounds of it, it's been the story. So I need to change that. It's my job to change it.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of... Actually, we'll get to Danny Dixon in a sec, but as you said, it turned in the second half, particularly once Tom got that penalty and slotted it. You just felt a complete tidal change in the game, which is not unusual in football, but all of a sudden it looked like, hang on, Knights, rather than losing the game, can not just draw it, but win it, and the confidence just really, really turned and grew, and you could see some panic even settling in from Bentleigh. I reckon they conceded 4 or 5 yellows in that last sort of 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, look, I think my job is to see the situation clearly. So I think there's a lot of positives in the long term for our group, given the young boys that were out there with their endeavour and their ability to take instructions. But at the moment, it's about the short term, right? And we've got to now just find solutions to convert that sort of positivity and what we've got into points. And we're going to have some players back next week, so that's going to put that natural pressure on. But simply put, whichever team's out there, we've got to learn how to win and at least close out games.
And how much of it is still a learning curve for you, obviously, coming in? You would have had a look at the team, but I doubt you obviously watched them week in, week out before the job became available. So how much for you and also the coaching staff is it still just sort of really getting to know the players and the little traits and even the game style that you want to implement?
Look, there's a lot to learn, but I think I understood the situation I was getting myself into. We're not looking to build. We haven't got time. We need to get organised. We need to get structured. We need to get disciplined. I thought Duzel's performance today was a real plus for us. The boys coming in after a while, so we've got some talented young players. I think the boys want to learn, and they've got a hell of a long way to go in terms of how we want to play. But in the end, a little bit of inexperience in that back four cost us.
And how frustrating is that final goal? Because I said in commentary, said it was like a futsal goal. It's the one where you draw, you suck the defence in, you square it up, you score. And I know Fraser was absolutely shattered by it.
Oh, look, it was disappointing. But again, I'm sort of charged with the responsibility to see things clearly and find solutions, and that's what we're going to plan to do.
Last one, any early news on Danny Dixon? Looked pretty sore when he came off.
Yeah, look, he's felt his other hamstring, so that's disappointing for us. Tommy got 90 minutes, so that's a positive. But you mentioned it earlier. We'll be a different squad next week, and there'll be some natural competition again.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks.